Okay, welcome to our new Skyrim build here, and we're starting off here at the see the world map is on for the first time. We're at the exit from Helgen, so we just left Helgen, and we are here with our level 1 adventure called Scathach. Scathach was the legendary sword mistress or sword teacher for Cuchulainn. So since this young lady is a Breton warrior, I think it's fairly appropriate that she's a Celtic, famous Celtic warrior. Now, Uh, this Breton female is going to be the base for a melee build. So Scathach's going to end up being a super powered melee build, and we need to be super powered because we are going to do this build on legendary difficulty. So a Breton build, is obviously perfect for conjuration because she starts off with very high conjuration skills. Conjuration is 25, whereas the sword skills are only a wimpy 15, right? So the optimum build for Breton is really conjuration, and it also happens to be that the best build by far for legendary difficulty is conjuration build. It easily whips the ass of every other build at this level. So if you've got a Breton and you're going to go down a conjuration build, you can walk through legendary easily, more easily than any other build. But I want to make a change of scene. I want to do a Breton build who's a melee warrior because I've done the conjuration build to death. Now a lot of people go for orcs for the melee build because they've got that great orc fury. But I'm going to stick with the Breton because first of all I like this build. I like this character. I just like her. She's cute. She's also Breton. She's kind of Celtic look, and she does have one superpower, which is two things, but one superpower. Bretons have one superpower, which is to resist magic. So that's really powerful at legendary difficulty. You don't have it's one of the best racial powers because it's a passive. So unlike the orc berserker, you don't have to summon it. It doesn't have a time limit. It's always there. It's brilliant. So that makes Bretons really quite tough. I'm not worried about having low sword skills. We can fix that. That's easy fixed. But magic resistance cannot be fixed. Really important on legendary difficulty. The other thing she has, which is nice, is straight out of Helgen. She has a conjure familiar. This is a very powerful spell in legendary because on legendary there's a multiplier so that all your attacks out are divided by 3 and all attacks in on you are multiplied by 4, or maybe it's 3 4 the other way. But the point is, your damage output is nerfed. Your terrible damage output. That's why a melee build is so difficult. But the advantage of conjuration is when you summon a conjuration, its damage output is not nerfed. They're not affected by the legendary rule. So this means that when you go from regular Skyrim level to legendary, your conjurations effectively get tripled in power. Effectively, as a conjuration mage, the things you conjure are triple the power they are on lower difficulties. Whereas the other mages, this destruction mages, illusion mages, their skills are not increased; they're weaker. So conjuration is really a phenomenally powerful build. So I'm not going to use a conjuration build, but I will be using my conjure familiar in the early part of the build. And this is perfect because conjure familiar is only a wolf, but in the early part of your build, when you're level 1 or 2 or 3, it's really powerful. Two reasons. First of all, as I said, conjurations don't get nerfed by the legendary rules. And secondly, 90% of the time when I'm, well, 90% of the time in adventures in the early level when you're acquiring powers and abilities, you don't need to defeat enemies, you just need to pass them. You need to get by an enemy. They're like gatekeepers. And the conjuration familiar is a brilliant way because it tanks for you. So you can chuck a familiar at an enemy, they fight with it, and you run past them. There's no need to defeat everything in Skyrim. Most of the time, you just have to get past something, and the familiar is brilliant at that. It's very good because it's not a ranged, it has no ranged attack, so it never stands back and shoots ranged enemy. It always attacks in melee. That's what you want from a tank. It's a very, very good tank. So that's how our build's going to work. What we're going to do is, in order to turn our wimpy little Breton female into a super powerful legendary warrior, we're going to spend the first maybe 5, maybe 10 episodes gathering all the weapons and powers that will make us super powerful. So we're not going to do any real melee. We're basically going to use our conjuration abilities and various um, gear that we discover in Skyrim, and we're going to use that to acquire the things that will make us a super powerful warrior. So we're going to get the very best game armor. We're going to get the very best found armor in the game. We're going to get the very best enchantments in the game, and we're going to get the very best swords in the game and shields. So super powerful swords, super powerful shields, super powerful armor, and that way we will become super powerful. And the key to this build is there will be no smithing or enchanting. We won't make anything because smithing and enchanting just ruins the game. The game is chock full of these really very powerful and lower heavy items. There's fabulous suits of armor, there's fabulous swords, there's fabulous staffs, all with a great backstory, great lore. And if you go build your own, you destroy it, you ignore all of that Skyrim lore. So we're going to immerse ourselves in Skyrim by using only famous Skyrim, only real Skyrim items. We're not going to make anything. The only crafting skill we will use alchemy, and alchemy can be very powerful, especially at low levels. It's super powerful, not for making. It doesn't make a sword that's 10,000 point damage or a piece of armor that's invincible the way you can with super powerful enchanting and smithing. But the advantage of alchemy is that even at very low levels, it's useful. You can make at level 1, you can make healing potions that heal you quickly and take them over and over again. You can make potions that make you invisible. You can make potions that can paralyze an enemy and damage them. So you can make lots of really useful small potions at low level that really, really work. So what we're going to be doing is alchemy build is another thing, and I've got a way to make my alchemy more powerful than is plausible without going up an alchemy skill. So we're never going to raise our alchemy skill. So that's part of our build. We're going to be totally 100% focused on being a melee warrior. You can see that my conjuration is already high because I'm a Breton, but we're going to aim to increase no skills whatsoever. We're not going to increase any skills at all except for the melee warrior skills. So by our aim at the end of the build is to have the following skills. We want to get heavy armor, some up a little bit so that we can get the maximum amount of the great heavy armor suits we wear. We're going to get block up a lot more because we're not going to really depend on heavy armor. We're totally going to depend on shield blocking as our defensive tanks tactic. And then we're going to increase our one-handed. So most of our perk increase is going to be one. So say 3/4 of all our increases will be in one-handed, and the other quarter will be between a good bit of blocking and a tiny bit of heavy armor. So the one-handed will give us the massive DPS. So we've got two strands to our build. We're going to use block to defend ourselves and tank when we need to tank, and we're going to use one-handed for DPS for offensive purpose. And we're going to focus very heavily on the right-hand side. We're going to focus on dual flurry, on dual wielding. So when we want to use DPS and kill something, we use dual wielding, and everything's going to be built around that. And when we want to defensively tank, we're going to use shield and sword and board. And those are the only three skills we're going to increase in the whole game. So like I said, what I'm going to do for the first 5 or 10 adventures is I'm going to use my conjuration skills and some clever tactics to acquire all the gear for melee. But I'm not going to build up my conjuration skill, I'm not going to build up my magic skills, I'm not going to build up any other skills. And we have a way of we have a way of stopping skills from popping to the next level so that we can stay. So at the end of say 5 or 10 episodes, I will still be level 1 and I will have increased no skills at all except melee skills. If a melee skill increases my general character level, that's allowed, but nothing else can. And then when we get all our equipment and gear, we're going to turn around and we're going to run through the main quest, and in the main quest we'll use melee skills. So we're going to have like two parts to our life. The first part of our life is using conjuration and clever tactics to acquire gear, and the second part of our life is to be a melee warrior. So this is a bit like a lot of those builds where, in a lot of builds on YouTube, you see people they spend the first 5 or 6 episodes just build farming gear, farming alchemy gear, alchemy equipment, and food, and building up their enchant. They usually build their enchanting and their smithing up to level 100. And once they've got those up to level 100, then they create these phenomenal pieces of armor and weapons, and then they start their actual adventuring. I'm going to follow the same logic, but I'm not going to do what they did because I don't want to have enchanting and smithing at level 100, which means that I'm at level 20 and I can't fight a wolf. That's the problem with those builds. You get to, if you're level 100 and two crafting skills, your character is level 20 and all your enemies are level 20, but you can't fight anything, so you're absolutely useless. I will get all my gear and be completely ready for action as a melee warrior, but I will still physically be at level 1. The character, Scathach, will still be at level 1. So let's go and let's start our build. The first thing we want to do is, obviously, you want to have to run the main quest and go to Riverwood, and then from Riverwood to Whiterun. But I'm going to take a slight detour off to the left. So, first thing we're going to do is, um, let's see if I got a shield. I've skipped the Helgen. I probably didn't pick up a shield. That's fine. So what I'm going to have in my left hand here is I'm going to have my Conjure Familiar spell. Now, like I said, I don't want to use this too heavily because I dare not increase my Conjuration skill. You see the Conjuration skill here? I dare not increase that over the next level. So I can't really cast any conjurations. I must have cast conjurations at least once or twice inside Helgen. So I'm not going to cast any conjurations. That means, what I'm first of all going to do is I'm going to attack a bandit camp here and steal something from them. And we're going to see how to defeat enemy without any conjurations or any weapons. I'm going to use my friend, who is it? Rayloff. I'm going to use Rayloff, and this is a tactic we will use a lot. Not only do we use the surrounding terrain effectively, but we always use NPCs to do our fighting for us. So let's go. And here's the bandit camp. Now remember, at legendary difficulty, these guys can kill us with 1 or 2 blows. Especially that two-handed girl. She can kill me in 1 blow. Maybe 2 blows max. See, there's the swipe that missed us. Now here's Rayloff. Now this is how we survive. Go. So you got to be careful. Now I'm allowed to build up my one-handed. So that's a skill that I'm allowed to build up. See? Alright, so there's increased one-handed. But Rayloff's doing all the tanking for me, see? The only thing when you're doing this, when you're using somebody else's tank, you've got to be careful because archers are your... So archers are the nemesis of my build. You see? 2 increases in one-handed already. The problem with this is you've got to be careful about archers because they can kill you without you actually doing anything. Now, what I got there with the treasure was a treasure map 1. So I will need a lot of money for this build, and I've just got a piece of free treasure. So let's go get some more treasure now that we've defeated the bandits. See? Money and the very valuable Black Mage robes gear for selling. Okay? Now we'll do the standard thing that everybody does. You run over to the Talis Shrine, and in the Talis Shrine we will pick up something magic. Watch out now, there's wolves down below and spiders. And at legendary difficulty at level 1, every single animal can kill us. And here's the Talis Shrine. You see all the Talis worship is dead. Now they have terrible loot, I'm not going to steal. But the Talis warrior here does. The Stalmor soldier has good gear. He always has 1 magic items. Now here is sneaking boots, which is rubbish, but I'll take it anyway. But he has robes, which are quite valuable. And a potion, see? So, now We've completed the first part of our episode. We've defeated an enemy. And look down here, we can see a guy. This is Talsgur the Wizard, or Talsgur the Bard. He's actually a great fighter, and I have used him in the past to defeat the bandits. He's a great warrior, but I don't need him now. So let's go. Now, our next part, the next phase of this mission is we're going to get vampirism, and vampirism is actually a very important part of our build. So it's very fortunate that there's a weak vampire not too far from Helgen. So we're going to run down and find our weak vampire, and we're going to get vampirism from her without getting killed. Now, of course, you see the enemies here. There's fighting going on between some undead on the left, and there's probably wolves. Now, again, I can't really defeat any of these guys much. Hopefully, they're not. They're too busy fighting. Are they? Sometimes they. See, you see. The problem is those wolves. You see, the wolves come out after you. And here's a good tactic in Skyrim: is swimming. Nothing can fight in water, so don't drown for God's sake. So you see, they can't fight you in water, so you can always escape in water. Watch. Let's hope the wolves. Yeah, they're gone. Oh, there's an undead guy following me. You see, we didn't have to fight anybody. We just bypassed him. And I don't mind if the undead guys follow me. There they are. He's following me. I can bring him to somewhere else where he will defeat him. I don't have to defeat him at all. So watch. Let's find an ally to defeat the undead here. Sometimes your chasers will give up chasing you. Sometimes they don't. We don't.
Thank goodness.
Oh,
I was kidnapped. I managed to pick the lock and... Oh, they're at Mistwatch. Here, if you can stop them, you'll be a true hero.
okay. There's a quest I'm not interested in. You see the undead creature still following me. There's no problem because up ahead of me is a hunter, and the hunter is well armed. There she is there, or he, and is it a man? And they will fight the undead for me. Watch. Oh no. Unfortunately the undead creatures attacked that woman. I didn't want to let that woman die. I'm not really interested. Look at her, she's fighting it. Oh, that's not good.
You're doing?
Oh, I hit her. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, that didn't work out well. That was a mistake. I accidentally hit the woman. I think he's killed her. So now I have to track him towards my hunter friend. Where's my hunter? There she is.
Never should have come
See?
here.
The hunter will easily defeat the undead creature. Or in fact, the horse might defeat him. See, horses are great fighters. Oh, okay, good. Now, there we learned two things. One is how to defeat a enemy using a civilian. And the second thing is not to hit the civilians, because we just got a bounty on Valkyrie. So anytime I enter Valkyrie now, I'll get arrested by the guards, which is a nuisance. I have to. So let's see, is the dead body of the woman got any lootable items? No, nothing. So let's check our crime status. I've forgotten where crime is actually. General stats. See crime. Valkyrie's bounty is 40. Now, my bounty should have disappeared because she was the only witness. You know, normally when the witnesses are all dead, your bounty disappears, but it didn't. So I've got a bounty in Valkyrie, which is something I've never had before. It just shows you, you have, simply because she walked into my sword. She walked into my sword, and that was enough to get a bounty, even though I was trying to rescue her. Now here's our destination with the vampire. It's the North Shriekwind Bastion, right? So, uh, yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get vampirism, and the plan is very simple. I, If a vampire attacks me in melee, it will kill me in one go. There's no way I'll be able to defeat a vampire at legendary at level 1. But this vampire will sometimes use the vampire spell, the drain spell. And the drain spell does very little damage, so he will very slowly, or she will very slowly kill me. And all I have to do is keep healing myself, because the drain spell, just like every vampire melee attack, has a chance to cause vampirism. So all I do is wait until vampirism is, I get the vampirism disease, and then I run out the door. So if she doesn't attack me physically, I can survive. If she attacks me with melee, I'm dead. So somehow we have to make sure that she doesn't attack me with melee, and we're going to do that. But that's just pot luck. But what we're going to do to keep ourselves alive is we're going to do two things. We're going to put our potions of healing on our quick menu, and we're going to give ourselves use restoration magic. We're just going to heal ourselves constantly with both hands. So here, potions of healing. So between the potions of healing and restoration magic, she can't really kill us if she doesn't hit us. So it's all very luck based, but if we try it a few times, it certainly will work. So that's enough for this episode. So let's save there, and in the next episode, we're going to get vampirism, which is a pillar of our build. So let's wrap there.